Hello! Magandang umaga mga estudyante. So, andito na naman tayo para sa Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics subject. This is a core subject sa senior high school at nandito na tayo sa module number 8 or week 8. Okay? So, before we start, allow me to present to you or to tell you about the online class etiquette. Siyempre, alam nyo naman lahat yon na kailangan kapag nagsasalita kayo, you have to turn on your microphone, turn off kung hindi. If possible, buksan ang camera. Tapos, raise your hand. Mayroon tayong dyan raise hand button kung gusto niyo magsalita. Okay? So, we can also use our chat box kung gusto niyo talagang mag-recite na hindi kayo mabigyan ng pagkakataon na makapagsalita because of the poor internet connection. So, ilan lamang yun sa mga online class etiquette na lagi natin ginagawa, of course, sa online class. So, hindi ko na ito i-present sa inyo, yung tungkol dito. But before anything else, we are going to study about education, the functions and the importance of education. Okay? So, here's the milk or the most essential learning competency na sinusunod natin. At least you will be able to examine the functions and importance of education in the society. Ano nga ba ang halaga ng edukasyon? Bakit tayo nag-aaral? Diba? So, the following objectives are discuss the meaning of education and its function in the society. 2. Explain the types of system of education in the Philippine context. 3. Determine the similarities and differences of formal and non-formal education. And lastly, value the functions and significance of education by writing a pledge of commitment. So, before we start, let's have a short recap of what we have talked about last time or last meeting. So I wanted to define the following. What is state institutions, the non-state institutions, and what are the examples of non-state institutions? So alam kong napag-usapan natin yon at alam kong alam niyo kung ano ang sagot doon sa mga tanong na yon. So now let's start. What is the meaning of education? So when we say education, this is an act or process of imparting or acquiring general knowledge, developing the power of reasoning and judgment, and generally of preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. So bakit nga ba kayo nag-aaral? Why do you want to get education or why do you want to acquire knowledge? Because, sabi nga dito, that is in order for you to develop reasoning and of course judgment. Tapos, it will lead you or prepare you to your mature life or someday magiging productive citizen of the country na kayo. So, dapat hinahanda kayo dito sa mga school na pinapasukan ninyo para sa inyong mga mature role. Okay? And number 2, education is a social institution through which a society's children are taught basic academic knowledge, basic learning skills, and cultural norms. So, yun yung mga na-acquire natin sa paaralan. Academic knowledge, pati mga learning skills, and also mga cultural norms. Siyempre, doon pa lang sa eskwelahan, mayroon na kayong mga matututunan na mga cultural norms na laging pina-practice sa labas ng iyong paaralan. Also, the word education is derived from the Latin word educare or educare, diba? Which means to train or to rear or bring up a child or bring up. Hence, it plays a significant role in transferring culture and social norms among members of society in the process of training and various modalities of education or educating. Okay, so now you might ask, what are the types of education in the Philippine setting? Itong education na kung saan nasa school kayo, ano kaya ang tawag dito? 'Di ba? So, we have formal education. And another one is non-formal education. Siguro naririnig ninyo kung mayroong mga nag-aaral sa Kariton Classroom, sa ALS. Where do you think they belong? Nasa formal education ba sila? Or nandito sila sa non-formal education? So we will find out later. So the types of education in the Philippines, when I say formal, this refers to the standardized method of hierarchically structured and progressive schooling that corresponds to the general notion of elementary and secondary and tertiary level of education. So kayo ba ay nasa elementary or secondary? Ang senior high school ba ay nasa secondary? If your answer is secondary, then you belong to formal education. Yet the primary and secondary level of education, this is what we call the compulsory education. So dito sa Pilipinas, compulsory education tayo kapag compulsory education during the elementary and the secondary schooling. Okay? So in the educational system of the Philippines, the elementary and secondary is administered and supervised by the DepEd, the Department of Education. Elementary level is composed of kindergarten plus 6 years of primary education. So kung mapapansin ninyo, compulsory na rin ang kindergarten. So before you go to the first grade in the elementary, kailangan dumaan muna kayo sa kinder. Okay? And of course, okay, whereas the secondary education contains the 4 years of junior high school and another 2 years of senior high school. Diba? Kasi nandito na tayo sa K-12 curriculum. Furthermore, the tertiary level is administered and supervised by the Commission on Higher Education. So take note of that. Elementary and secondary administered tayo ng DepEd. Pagdating natin sa tertiary or college education, under na kayo ay magiging under na ng Commission on Higher Education, which is CHED. The actual years spent in this level depends on the curriculum of its course. So, may mga curriculum or may mga courses sa CHED na good for 5 years. May isang kurso na good for 2 years or 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, di ba? So, depende. Unlike DepEd na kailangan 6 years plus 1 sa elementary and 4 plus 2 sa secondary. Okay? So look at the diagram. So remember the take note of the education ladder in the Philippines. So saan na kayo ngayon? So may makikita kayo dyan na senior high school na naka-circle, or how do you call this, a shape. So, tapos na kayo dito sa number 1, elementary 6 years, 4 years sa junior, and now you are in your senior high school. So, 2 years, here yung estudyante ay pwede na rin silang kumuha ng TechVoc para maka-acquire sila ng National Certificate 2. Pwede rin kayong kumuha ng entrepreneurship courses sa senior high school, the humanities, the STE, and the sports. So these are the offerings in the senior high school. So kayo ay nasa humanities, right? Kayong mga UMS. Pero yung EBM, syempre hindi sila sa humanities. And another, the last one is the tertiary level. After senior high school, you will proceed to the tertiary level or college. At ang kasama doon ay, ang mga nabibilang doon are the undergraduates, the graduate students, the doctoral, and the postdoctoral. Okay? So, pag natapos kayo sa kolehiyo, hindi pa yun dapat ninyong pangarapin. Mayroon pa kayong masters, even doctors or doctorate. Okay. So, pangarapin nyo pa yung mga ganon. It's not enough kung college grad lang kayo. So, mayroon pa kayong masters, may doctorate pa, pero okay na rin ang college graduate, no? What I'm trying to tell you is, mayroon pang after college, mayroon pang pag-aaralan if you want to pursue the master's degree level of education. Then after the master's degree, mayroon pang doctoral degree. Di ba? Baka sabihin nyo walang katapusang pag-aaral to, sir. Okay, now let's move on to the non-formal education. So when we say non-formal education, it refers to an educational activity carried outside the structure of formal education. So carried outside the structure of formal. So labas ng eskwelahan. Okay? So according to UNESCO, non-formal education can cover programs contributing to adult and youth literacy and education for out-of-school youth children. So mga out-of-school youth children, as well as programs like life skills, work skills, and social and cultural development. So ang ALS kabilang dito and also TESDA. Diba? So, tapos yung Cariton Classroom, if you heard about that. So, Cariton Classroom belongs to the non-formal education. Okay? So, now let's proceed. Now, what are the functions of education at ano ang kanyang importansya or halaga? One is for socialization. Socialization is an essential ingredient in creating a society, of course. Since school is an agent of socialization, thus, education helps transform human in becoming literate and recognize its function in the society. Through education as a means of socialization, we also learn social norms, values, and culture that are fortified by our teachers, textbooks, and our classmates as well. So through the process of socialization, we'll learn so many things, not only what is written in the books, but also social norms, values, and cultures you might adopt in the society. Okay? Another one is the transmission of culture. Education can transmit culture. Through socialization in school, teachers, like for example, teachers to learners and learners to learners, the transmission of culture is at the highest possible. Through education, human learns the values, beliefs, and social norms of their culture. Marami tayong natututunan through socialization inside the school. Marami. Katulad halimbawa ng mga usong laro. Maaring it's your first time to see and play the game, pero because of the process of socialization na natutunan mo na rin yung ganong bagong laro para sa iyo. So mayroong transmission of culture, 'di ba? Another one is social integration. Social integration, as the saying goes, nations are built because of education. Do you agree with that? Nations are built because of education. This is because education portrays an important role to unify individuals by teaching the common values and social norms. Tama nga naman. I remember my grandmother dati, lagi niya sinasabi, hindi mo ba natututunan ng magandang asal sa paaralan? Kapag halimbawa nagiging pasaway ako. So, ganun dapat. Because you are in school, natututunan niyo yung mga magagandang asal sa paaralan. Diba? Another one is social placement. It could be clenched that all other professions rooted from teachers. Do you agree with that? All professionals rooted from teachers. Though it is indeed the reality, education provides a social placement for everyone. It prepares us to the latter station of our lives and to buy the necessities of life. Now, this makes sense to productive citizenry and self-actualization. Bakit kayo nag-aaral? Because you want someday to land a job na maaaring makatulong sa iyo at sa society. Okay? Bakit ka nag-aaral? Because someday you want to become a productive citizen of the country. Ibig sabihin, gusto mong may pakinabang ka sa society at gusto mo ring mapakinabangan ka ng society o lipunan. That's why you are here in school. Okay? So, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask questions sa comment section ng ating video na ito. Okay? So, I will be giving you a short activity and gagawa kayo ng isang pledge of commitment. Write your pledge of commitment on how you become a productive citizen. So, manunumpa ka, paano ka nga ba magiging isang produktibong mamamayan ng ating bansa? Okay? Tulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, paano ka mapapakinabangan ng society? So, you have to make a pledge of commitment. Ganyan. As a student, make a pledge of commitment. Ano ang maipapangako mo sa society, sa ating lipunan as a student? Okay? Mayroon akong format na inilagay dito. Like for example, I, Bam Alde, commit myself to, so ano ipapangako mo? So that, okay. So yon. So that, state your reason bakit yon ang gusto mong maging commitment. Okay? So I hope klaro or clear sa inyo ang aking instruction. So I have here a short quiz. So I want you to write the letter of the correct answer. Okay. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Okay. I have here 5 items na test. Okay. So I have here additional activity. So draw a picture about your views on education in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. So instead of writing it in a short essay, gusto kong iguhit mo kung ano ang yung pananaw or view about our system of education ngayong pandemic. So I want you to make it colorful and be creative with your drawing. Okay? So narito ang ating rubrics. The drawing clearly express the information and message. Okay, 5 is the highest rating. The drawing reflects the creativity of the artist. 5 is also the highest points. The drawing highlights important information relevant to the topic education. So 5 is the highest points. So kung makakuha kayo ng perfect points, you will get 15. So, maliwanag po. Now, let's move on to the next slide. I will be showing here a picture. So ano kaya sa palagay nyo ang nakikita ninyo sa larawang ito? Okay? So, actually, ang larawang ito ay nagpapakita para sa ating susunod na talakayan. Makikita ninyo kung itong mga ito, feeling natin sila yung mga mahihirap, tapos ito yung mga mayayaman. So, if we are talking about that, what do you think it is? So, actually, dahil may kinalaman ito sa ating lesson, which is social stratification. Ano kaya ang social stratification? So, I wanted to answer these questions. Okay. So, that would be all. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig. At saka para sa aking mga estudyante, maraming salamat and prepare for a short quiz this week. At syempre, yon ay makikita or sasagutan ninyo sa ating Google Classroom. Okay? So, dear students, maraming salamat ulit sa inyong pakikinig para sa ating Week 8 session ng UCSP or Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics. Okay? Bye everyone. See you in my next class.